Hello, wonderful world. It's Jennifer here at Eureka Astrology and Healing, and today I wanted to take a moment just to share my garden. It is so beautiful right now. We've gotten so much water that I'm going to do just a little tiny get to know you kind of medicinal walk. I'm not going to say too much about its uses, but more of just getting acquainted because the plants look beautiful. Many of them are well ahead of growing schedule, at least by a month, and I feel like this is an opportunity for people to see beautiful plants that maybe they don't know what they are or would like to know, or just see something beautiful. And here we are beginning with Monarda, also known as bee balm. There's many other names. This is not the native fistulosa. I don't think this might be the didyma, but it can still be used medicinally, and often now is when it is harvested of the above ground parts. Moving on over, we see a few echinacea there. Some people actually harvest the tops when they are just growing like that. That's more of the immune stimulating effects. Roots would be later in the fall. These are not the best looking because I think they're so interwoven with other plants, but they're also very ahead. Moving right next to it, St. John's wort or St. John's wort. And look at it, it is in full bloom and full glory. This is the time to harvest it. It started early in early June and has been continuing on, and you harvest these tops, both the open flowers, the buds, and then the things that you see like they're kind of turning brown, all of them. They each have medicinal constituents that you want, and they are looking fabulous. We're going to go over here. There are so many plants that I forget what's even in some of my patches here. Here is quite a wild patch. The lacy leaves there, that's going to be wild carrot eventually. That might be the first year plant. The purple plants are wood bentney, Stachys officinalis. I probably have about 80 plants. It's a mint plant. It likes to spread, and I like to spread it. I find it highly valuable and wonderful as a plant ally, but also as a medicine. Here we have the sunchokes. They're a little short right now. You can actually eat them in the fall. Then, moving a little bit slow here, we've got a big leaf. You can't see much right now, but that's going to be an elecampane. I don't see a stalk yet, so that might be a first year or a second year. And then we kind of go up and up and up. This isn't a super tall one, but this is actually what they call a Joe Pye weed, and it will flower pretty soon. Again, very ahead to schedule, but it's also a lovely plant for pollinators as well. Then moving on over into some of our woodland plants here. We've got one of my favorites, salmon seal. We don't harvest that right now. That is a fall plant. If you do ever harvest it, be very respectful. It takes a long time to grow, and so try to replant anything you can of the rhizome when it comes. Here's another one. Look how beautiful it is and how it looks like a spine. You can see the flowers are turning into berries. Again, very ahead of schedule. And we've got a goldenrod sitting right here, one of the many, already getting ready to flower, which is pretty wild. And then don't forget raspberry. The leaves are medicinal. Ideally, you get them before they berry. That's best for the constituents, but they are already trying to, well, this one's not trying to berry, but many around my yard is. Then we go right here to, oh, look at this beautiful thing called fairy wand. Some know it as, it's a little more of the magical name, but the one known by most herbalists is black cohosh. And the leaves are quite abundant underneath it. I mean, it's one of my favorite plants. This is not the time to harvest the medicine, but I can say, again, pollinators love these flowers, and it is a native to where I live, so I like to foster the natives that I can that are medicinal, and just be an ally to plants that are now becoming more endangered, either due to overuse or their habitat loss. Here we have an oak. Speaking of, unfortunately, moths are attacking a lot of the oak trees around here, and we're trying to protect it. Hopefully it survives the attack. Down here, violets still, I mean, they're getting pretty eaten up now, but usually this time of year here, they're pretty bleached out, and it's pretty done. They're pretty done for because of the heat, but we've had so much rain here that they're happy. Now, unfortunately, I wish I could show you a better version of this. This was cramp bark. Some new pest that we are unfamiliar with came in and ate all the leaves pretty much in a day. Hopefully it comes back next year. It's hard to say. Then we've got one of my favorites, and it's not native to here, but it's just so wonderful, and that is meadowsweet, and the scent is delightful. I will be harvesting it today. I'm going to be harvesting a lot of plants today because it's done. They're so in bloom and ready, and I'm just quite shocked at how much I have to do to keep up with them. It's just as far as making sure that they don't get overweeded, but also make medicines. A quick little aside here, We've got motherwort, again in full bloom, usually July. Nope, it's the end of June, and my motherworts are fully in bloom everywhere. I have more underneath here. Just wonderful plants. Leonardus cardiaca, one of the traditional uses people use it for, is actually for heart health. Again, if you were to take herbs, please check with your medical provider and understand all the pros and cons of taking an herbal medicine before you do so. We're going to continue on. We got a little bit of an open pathway here. We're going to go into the full-on wood betony field here. As you can see, there are a lot of plants right there. I bet you there's 30 or 40 wood betony plants. Again, it's a mint. I love it. It's very hardy. It withstood the drought well last year, and it's also withstanding the heavy rains we're getting. And it's one of the reasons I love medicinal plants that sometimes are called weeds or weedy, is that there's a strength in them that a lot of our cultivated plants just do not have. And again, it's in the mint family. One of its uses is to support digestion. I don't have a very big shot of this, but that is yarrow flowering. Like I said, pretty much all my medicinals have chosen to flower at the same time. It's pretty wild. St. John's wort interwoven. I really like to let my plants, if they can tolerate it, grow between each other. They really keep each other healthy often, especially in the hot part of the summer. Here we have, now this is a plant that doesn't so much like competition, but it's growing, and that is lemon balm, already starting to flower. And I can say that my lemon balm patch is not very big because it's not such a, it doesn't want to have a ton of competition within around it. Chamomile is another one that I don't have here, but that is also one that doesn't like a bunch of competition. Here is the glorious nettles. Again, way ahead of schedule, and it's already in flower. See that? Those are little flowers hanging there. And so I've stopped harvesting the tops on this because there are chemical changes that it's not as ideal to harvest once they're in flower. I mean, you would do the root later in the year if you're doing the root, but that is not the time of year. And speaking of another plant extremely ahead of schedule, it's not super high, but this is blue vervain right here. See those beautiful purple flowers? August is almost always the time I see them starting to flower. And literally it is the end of June here, and I cannot believe it. I mean, it's not quite time to harvest it yet, but beautiful little plant. Notice how it kind of blends in with the nettles and has a similar look to it, but it is not nettles. Like nettles is behind it, it is not nettles. Then I have a patch of, get that out of the way there, of lavender hiding. It's getting some full sun, and this year it's done really well because we had a very warm winter, and so it is really prolific this year. It likes the dry sandy soil, and that's kind of what's going on right here. Doing well. More echinacea, look at that. Now I'm looking much happier and just full on flower. Then we've got mullein. This is a large first year plant, and notice there's a baby second year. It's going to flower. It's a biannual, and I've got some back here too. They're not very big, but they are flowering right now. Again, far ahead of schedule. It's quite amazing. More lemon balm, hard to kind of see, they're blending in, but they are out and about. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. More goldenrod, a lot of these tall, not ready to flower, but much ahead of schedule. And then we'll get a little shot here. We got rose, not a very big bush, but just something of beauty. You can harvest the flowers at this time. They make great potpourri, or you can dry them for a tea. Have lots of great uses. And then here's just an ending beautiful shot of what I have. I call my shamanic tree that we didn't want to fully cut it down, and so I kept the sticks and put sticks up it, and then I put trumpet vines up there. And trumpet vines, just so you know, can be invasive, and they do try and spread in my yard. This tree is very much standalone, and there will be suckers growing in the parts of the yard, so I do have to mow them down. So don't put it next to a lot of other trees. But this is kind of standalone, and I can control it. But the hummingbirds love it, the butterflies love it, and it's just a really great, another great pollinator. With that, I'm Jennifer at Eureka Astrology Healing. I hope you really enjoyed me sharing my yard. I really love plants, as you can tell. I like to keep my yard a little bit wild, but I have a lot of diversity and ecology going on here. There was literally a deer in my yard the other day, and I live in the city. It's quite amazing what you can do for nature when you're in the city if you allow yourself to protect it. And I hope this inspires people. Thanks so much. Ciao for now.